Yo,
Yo, what's up, dude?
Oh,
what's going on, man?
yeah.
Just playing some StarCraft, streaming it up. How you doing?
Pretty good. My mic all right?
Yeah, your mic's actually great. It's super good.
Cool.
All right,
Cool.
so, dude, go ahead and give me a quick little rundown of what you're all about, what league you in, and what race you are, and what you want to kind of work on overall.
Zerg. I am Diamond 2/3. I keep fluctuating in between. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of issues with Protoss and Zerg,
Okay.
as far as like 1v1s, but Terran mech has just been fucking me up, dude.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Uh,
So bad.
yeah, mech is definitely something where like there's a few things about it that you could do that makes it easier for you, but if you kind of just like don't really have like a plan to do that, it definitely can fuck you over depending on how mech plays, especially if it's like super like sieged up already, super fortified.
Yeah, that's usually the issues. Anytime I try to deny a third, they're sieged up, and I don't want to just like waste my roaches and shit.
Sure.
And then I feel like my scouting's too late because I'm like, I always prefer going hydroline baying, but whenever I like scout mech, I switch to roaches.
I
You
think
know,
it's
I always feel like I scouted out too late.
yeah. I think going roaches against mech is better as well. I think Hydralink Bane can work against mech, but I don't think it's as good. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, I don't know. I like that you're already doing that. I guess we could just look at like how you're going about your build and shit like that. So the way to do this is are you online right now on North America?
yes.
Okay, so unfortunately, I'm not in gym right now, so I'm not cool enough to do the invite that way. So what you can do is type slash join space vibe.
In the all chat or
Yeah,
what?
yeah, in the all chat, yeah, and then it'll join the channel vibe, and then I should see you when you're in here, or you should be able to see my text and stuff.
So slash join and then vibe.
Yeah, just vibe.
Oh, there you go.
All right, do you see me in here?
Um,
Just type it away.
Wait, hold on. I think I gotta switch. Okay, yeah, I don't see you typing.
Uh,
There's like two people in the fucking chat.
I don't know why I can't see it either. It's dumb. Chat system in StarCraft is the best. All right, try joining this channel then. But just join ViBE. I'm in that channel too. I can see that channel too. So if you join it, I should be able to see you. I just put
So
it in.
join
There you go. Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm looking at the stream too. So
Okay, I see you.
yeah.
Baskins. Carol Baskins.
Carol Baskin.
Okay. All right. So just go ahead and go to replays and do watch with others. Host it that way, so it can host it for both of us. And then
All right, word.
and then once you get the replay up and when we're in the lobby, just make sure to give me lobby host before we start the game.
All right, I got two replays. Let me find them real quick, cause
Yeah, no problem. Dude. Take your time.
yeah, I got one where it's like mech and BC, and then one I think it's straight mech.
Sure. We can go over both. I mean, I assume the mech BC one's probably like Hellion Cyclone Battlecruiser, something like that.
I can't remember. I think so. I watched it today. I can't remember.
Sure. All right. So just promote me to lobby host so we can jump into this. Perfect. All right, dude. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now that one of the biggest tricks to beating mech, in my opinion, is adding Aspire to your build. No matter what, you don't always have to use it,
Okay.
but having the option to use it is actually insanely good.
Okay.
All right, and also expanding a lot. That's also a big deal because mech can't punish expansions unless it's battle mech, as well as other styles. All right, let's look at your build. Let's see what you're doing. Let's see what you're all about. Okay. So far, nothing to really talk about. Super standard. I like your first Overlord's pathing. I like where it's headed. I like your second Overlord. The first Overlord, the perfect position to put it always, I would say, is like if you click on the ramp of between their natural and their main, it'll always let you see the natural ramp of like what their production is, and also if they expand or not. So, and your Overlord's kind of headed that direction already. That's pretty perfect.
Okay.
I'm gonna actually look at your gas timing. I didn't actually look at that for a second. Okay, you went for like a super standard 17, 18, 17. That's fine. That build's fine. It's good overall. It's like a very, very solid opener for ZvT. It could go into either.
Well,
What's up?
well, no, yeah, I usually do 16, but
I
yeah, I heard you say to do 17.
I like
fucking,
17 against Terran
or,
better.
yeah, Terran.
Yeah, I like 16 better versus Zerg and Protoss because you actually get abused if you don't do that. But against Terran,
Yeah,
they really never
I've
abuse
learned
you.
that lesson.
Yeah, Terran just doesn't really do shit to you when you go 17 hatch. It's pretty standard.
Yeah.
All right, and then your gas. This is a big one. Okay, rip it off. This is good. I like that. It's nice. It's nice. You don't see an expansion, or you do now. Okay, good. You made how many lings? You made 4. Okay, so far this build's perfect so far. Always prioritize. At this point too, make sure you're always prioritizing your larva as well, which you are.
Okay.
Because if you, the last thing I want you to do is to expand and have like 4 larvae sitting there. Like it's definitely bad if you do that for your third base. It's not ideal. I don't think you meant to send 2 drones down here either, but.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I like the fact that you having like 2 larvae on your hatcheries is I would say is acceptable to take your third with, because it means they probably could have just spawned and you're gonna take the third now, which is okay. But yeah, just always make sure as well you're always never letting your larva just get crazy high because you're like, I need to take that third faster.
Oh yeah. Yeah, even whenever like, so let's say a Reaper's denying my third, I'll always just make that 30 Overlord and then like judge, you know, how many drones I'll need to make.
Yeah.
While I'm waiting to take the third.
Sure, makes sense. One thing though that I don't like so far is your Overlord. Actually, I would have liked it if it would have gone deeper in his base.
The natural one.
Yeah, because right now you don't know if you're up against. Like you could already know you're up against mech already. And the reason.
Well, yeah. I guess they just make that second factory.
Because some Terrans, they will make a Reaper and they'll swap over, and some Terrans will make a Reaper and a Marine and swap over. And even if he makes a Reaper and a Marine and he swaps over, your Overlord still won't die. If you react to the read right away. The only way your Overlord would die is if you just kind of neglect it and you let it fly into the Marine for like 8 seconds and then react to it. You're like, oh shit, well we're way deep into his base now and I just got shot for the last 8 seconds. Now it's gonna fucking die. But if like let's just say you reacted to it when you saw the edge of like his you saw the factory, you saw the reactor like just starting after the Marine spawns, and then you're like, okay, well it looks like he's probably gonna go Hellions and now a Marine shooting my Overlord. And let's say your Overlord's like currently flying over where like the unbuildable plates are down at the bottom of his ramp. You could easily fly back to the cliff where it is and you would not die. And you would
then be able to make it back.
Yeah, you would. And then you would be able to know also, oh, it's Hellions, okay. So now I know what it is. And you might not know that it's a second factory yet, because if there was a Marine out, you'd want to save the Overlord.
That's usually the case. I mean, this game's different because you didn't make a Marine.
Sure.
Usually the case is that Marine just kind of pushes me back, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm going back.
It's still worth it though, because you'd at least know it's Hellions then. And the thing about it is you're if the reason why it's important is because if you go up against Hellions, you have to make lings earlier. If you go up against bio, like if it's 2 racks, 2-1-1 type shit, or just like it's not actually Hellions really fast, you don't have to make lings as fast. You could actually delay lings longer, and it allows you to have a bit of an edge against bio builds.
That makes sense because it's not like he's about to fucking march a bunch of bio.
Exactly. Like bio is it's super slow. You have to. Bio is also complete shit if it doesn't have stim pack. So bio never moves out unless it at the very least has stim pack, and most likely against Zerg also has medevacs supporting it, because you could just run it over with speed links and then he would lose the game. Like
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's always that threat for Terran. So knowing if he goes factory reactor at the same time, or knowing if he goes barracks with a reactor way before a factory, tells you if it's if it's Hellions or bio, Hellions or Marines.
Okay, that makes sense. I never really thought about that actually, about how I don't really need to make the lings if he's going bio.
It gives you an edge, and every edge counts in the early game, because it's like if you ever play a game where you're going up against bio and you're like, shit, dude, the bio, like He hasn't really killed any drones with his Reaper, but yet he's at like 108 supply, and I'm at like 104 supply. He's got more supply than me with Marine Tank, and I'm fucking like struggling here. And the only reason why that happens to you is probably because you played way too safe. And like you're doing things like making lings when you don't need to. Like for instance, if you don't scout the ramp here. If it was bio, for instance.
Okay, right.
But yeah, and if they don't make a Marine, it's like, oh wow, I can see everything. And knowing this now, this would feel fucking great, because what I would say to do against this right now, what he's doing, is this looks like Hellion Cyclone. It could be Hellion Cyclone. It might be Marine Tank, or sorry, it might be a Hellion Tank, but
Hellion Tank.
Yeah, it's very likely that someone who opens with multiple factories is gonna go Hellion Cyclone. And if
it wouldn't really make sense to make tanks with Hellion.
Yeah.
Unless it's just for defense, defensive purposes, I guess.
So some people do Hellion Tank timings, but they're not nearly as good as Hellion Cyclone. Hellion Cyclone is just more common. It's more effective.
Okay.
But the perfect way to respond to it, if you saw this early right now, would be, I would say immediately put 2 drones back on your gas to go back up to 3, and then just go to a layer and then make a Roach Horn after you start a layer. And you can go into Roach speed really quick.
That's with seeing that second factory.
Yeah,
that should be my response.
Yeah, if you just see one factory and it looks like a standard maybe 111 or just Hellion opener, you don't need to react to it like that. But if he shows you he's a multi-factory opener kind of guy, getting Roach speed as fast as you can is actually a great counter to this.
And how would I go about scouting 111 into mech, basically?
So your second Overlord, I'm gonna back it up really quick, just like for a sec. I want to see when you move your second Overlord. So your second Overlord should move like right now, and it should go to like right here, to like the north of the map on the side of his base. I don't know if you can see my ping right now, but
yeah, I can see.
Okay, like your second Overlord, when your natural is at like 90% to like 95% of the way done, you could now already with 100%, no doubts, no, you're not being proxied by some bunker rush, and you don't need to
that makes sense,
keep the Overlord here anymore, because you'll have the hatchery done now, so it doesn't matter. So your second Overlord will now head to the side of his main base, and when it goes here, it'll arrive between 3 to 4 minutes, and you want to then send that Overlord into his base at 4 minutes if you don't know what you're up against yet from your first Overlord scout.
So scouting at 4 minutes, basically.
Yeah,
like if it's the 111 scout at 4 minutes.
Yeah, like you could always start to send it into his base from the side of his main at 4 minutes, and that way you'll be in his base seeing most of his shit around 4:30. Because Overlords are super slow.
That'll be good to do, because I never fucking do that.
Yeah, so. And that'll tell you, like, is he going for a battlecruiser build? Is he going for a Banshee build? Is he going for a 211? Is he going for a factory build? Is he going for a really fast air command center? There's like everything that turns really gonna, like, he's gonna make his choice between 4 and 5 minutes as to how elaborately he wants to set up his build. He might be very standard. He might be very aggressive. He might be very tech related. But 4 to 5 minutes is always where he's going to throw it down, whatever his choice is, and that's why your first Overlord could just kind of chill on the cliff to see not only, you know, like if you're getting kind of zoned out by like a Marine or some shit, you can see like what his composition is as it develops at his natural wall.
Like see the Hellions come out.
Yeah, and you can also see the move out too. Exactly. Like you can see with.
I usually keep an eye on that.
That's good. Yeah,
for the most part.
It's nice because you could abuse it too. If like, for instance, if you open up with speedlings, you could do something like, if you have Roaches as a defender, like let's say you have like 6 Roaches, okay, and then you also have like 12 speedlings, you could be like, oh look, he just moved out. Maybe I want to run my 12 speedlings into his mineral line. Once I know he's committed onto my base and I'm ready now in position to do that, and then my Roaches can just defend her. That's more like advanced, but you could do shit like that by the fact that you know when he moves out.
Yeah, my run by game is extremely weak.
Sure, no, that's fine. It's you can always work on it later. It's not required right now for you.
Okay.
It's just an option. But leaving that first Overlord at the natural is great after you get a read on his ramp, and then second Overlord that we talked about just now is definitely a great addition to follow up a scout. So your movement of this Overlord is not, it's not too late. It's like only literally like 5 seconds late. It's pretty roughly fine.
Yeah. The second one.
Yeah. So like the second it would be getting to his base, you'd probably just want to go into it like right now, for instance. And that would be
I sent it over here, but I'm pretty sure it fucking sits there for like a solid minute.
All right.
Yeah, actually, what? Yeah, it just sits on the edge of his base.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, it's all good.
I had good intentions, let's put it that way.
Yeah, if this Overlord did head in, you once again could read. Like now you'd really know. Okay, triple factory, double tech lab. Yeah, this is a very, 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 very. It's mech. It's super, super mech. Also, another read is if you ever see this, even if you don't see the factories, you still know it's mech with what you do see, because you see a floating barracks with Hellions. That is not bio.
Yeah. Yeah, that floating barracks is a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, so again, the best way to react to this is a Roach Warren, I would say. You could go Bailing Nest, but I think Roach Warren is more. If you want just a more stable option, I think Roach Warren's better, because
Okay.
the thing about Lings, here's the problem with Lings. Okay, this is what I don't like about them. You have to always make a shitload of them, because you will never beat mech with Lings if you don't surround him, and if your opponent is not aggressive. So like
Okay.
two
Yeah,
things
that
have to happen for you, basically.
I feel like I burned through my larva with lings too, and they're always
Exactly.
like not cost efficient.
Yeah, like because if like you don't make enough links and you attack him, your army is just gonna fall over dead at his wall. You're just gonna be like, oh well, okay, I lost all my units. Okay, well, I'll make a little more. But if you make a lot of links and then he does not attack you, let's say he scans you and he's like, holy fuck, this guy is not making drones. He's just making lings and maids. Oh my god, like I'm not attacking that. And then he just fortifies his wall further, and then he just fucking makes tanks and shit and Hellions and keeps them behind a wall. It's all that's gonna happen to you then is you're gonna be running into tanks, and you're gonna fucking blow up like a chunk of his wall and go into like a choke point kinda, and then he's gonna just roast you with Hellions and tanks even further, and it's gonna be a
So
really bad engage.
okay, so basically I'm losing my value
It
with the lings
Yeah, I think it's a risk to go Lings is
in the
all.
early game.
It's
Okay.
it's like if he plays the way you want him to, it could work. But if he plays defensive and he realizes what you're doing, it's really hard to make Lings worth it.
Right.
Because they're so larva expensive. But if you go roaches, it's a solid option where you could literally just make like, we're talking like 10 roaches, okay, off of like 3 bases of economy, which is just like 10 larvae, and that's it. And you can just make mass drones off of that, and you'd be totally safe from Hellions. You'd be safe from Hellion Cyclone. You'd be safe from a lot of things. And if you realize, all right, yeah, this guy's going to be aggressive with Hellion Tank Cyclone, Hellion Cyclone, whatever, like some type of mech composition, he's just going to get aggressive. And you're like, and now you know that you need to make more units. You could always make more roaches at that point, and you'd still be fine.
Okay. Like as it's happening.
Yeah. Yep. Because like Hellions are actually like ridiculously bad versus roaches.
Oh hell yeah, they're super bad.
Yeah. So like, and most of his composition is going to be Hellions at this point, because
Right.
every Terran opens up with a reactor of Hellions. It's very rare that a Terran will open up with a tech lab, because it's so vulnerable to speedlings. Then like every Terran has to respect speedlings, which is why they open
True.
Hellion heavy.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then so, and that's kind of just what the situation is for you is, you have a fuckload of lings right now. You have 36 lings, and it's that point where like now you just scouted. You're like, oh okay, it's mech, and I just saw that Cyclones, Hellions, tank, 3 factory. So now you have to make a choice about how you want to follow it up. And I do like that you're making a Roach Warden now. So if you do that scout thing earlier, like we talked about, like the first national scout with the first overlord, and then on top of that, you follow it up with a 4-minute scout with your second overlord, you're gonna get this information way faster.
Yeah, I think I got it a whole minute late.
Yeah, for sure. And then that will make you feel more confident about what you want to actually make, and you don't need to make as many lings, especially if you make that earlier roach ward. If you realize what you're up against,
I could already have 8 roaches out basically.
you totally could.
If I would have scouted
100%, yeah. And then you could feel safe making mass drones right now,
Okay.
especially as well if you had roach speed on the way too, because roach speed, once it's done, you can really punish cyclones too. Because the proper way to fight Hellion Cyclone is, in the beginning of the game, when you fight that composition, there's not going to be like 20 cyclones or like 16 cyclones. There's going to be like 2 or 3.
And like a fuckload of Hellions.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like 8 Hellions or like 10 Hellions and like 2 cyclones. And then all you got to do is you let him commit to creep, and then you run at him once he's on creep with roach speed and creep movement speed, so you're way faster than a cyclone is, and you just get on top of the cyclone and focus fire it. It only takes like 8 roaches, 8 or 9 roaches to kill a cyclone, all hitting at the same time. So if you have 10 roaches, you'll easily kill a cyclone.
Okay.
I think it's 8 roaches kill a cyclone. Because it's 10 roaches do 160 damage, and a cyclone has 1 armor.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's really 50. It's 150 damage from 10 roaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
then yeah, 8 roaches would be perfect.
yeah. And then yeah. I like the once you realize it's mech as well, I love it. Here's the thing too. I love to make a. This is why I say Spire is super good, because if you make a Spire and you just start
That make
upgrading weapons on Spire, okay, and this is if it's a
okay.
ground-based mech. You can still make a Spire against air-based mech, but I think Carapace is better against air if it's like battlecruiser type mech. But
Okay.
if it's ground-based mech, I think weapons are better because you do not have to make mutas right away. You can just upgrade the weapons and just call it a day, for now. And what you do is if you see your opponent goes into mass tanks at any point in time, because you're going mass roaches. Roaches are better, or sorry, tanks are better against roaches. So if you make a lot of roaches
Right.
to deal with Hellion Cyclone, he's going to probably respond to that with tanks. And then
Yeah.
if he gets carried away where he's like, I have 15 tanks, which a lot of Terrans tend to do when they go mech, he'll
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
true.
of times just do a push then. It'll be like, okay, time to do a fucking tank push. And if you just make mutas then, you just win the game.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I never thought about making mutas.
It's so fucking good.
Okay. I
Uh,
feel like most of the time they do that tank push, they always have Thors with them, and the Thors
that
just
that's if it's super late. If they do have Thors like right away, it's because their tank count is super light, and if you macro really well with roaches, you'll run it over. You would 100%
okay.
run that over if you had really good macro and he made like 3 tanks and stopped. But if he
Okay.
makes like 10 like double digit tank count, like 10, 12, something like that, he'll if he does have Thors, it'll be like literally 1 or 2 with his push.
Right.
And
So
if
I'll
you
just mow through that and
yeah,
clean up the tank.
exactly. If you have like 20 mutas versus like 1 or 2 Thors, you could fly over the top of them. Do you know what
That,
magic boxing is?
man, I know what it is, right? But
Sure.
I don't know how to fucking do it.
I can tell you, it's honestly it's not that hard. It's just it requires a little bit of timing. All you do is we can like go to more into detail this in a minute if you want, but like we can actually do
Okay.
like a visual example of it. But all you do is you grab your mutas and you do not click anywhere near the mutas themselves, like on the screen, because if you click really close to
Okay.
where the mutas already are, they'll bunch up really hard and
They'll
they'll
bunch up.
yeah. But if you click far like further away, we're talking like 5 range or more away from the muta. Uh,
Okay.
what happens is they stay spread out, and you just click past a Thor. You don't click the Thor itself. You just click past a Thor. So you want your mutas to fly
Like,
directly over the top of it.
would I A move past the Thor
No,
or
you
like?
just move command past the Thor. And then once they
Okay.
fly over the top of it, you can stop, you can hold position, you can A move, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Stopping is probably the easiest way to do it. And then
Okay.
your mutas will come to a stop already spread out as they fly over the Thor directly. So they don't A move into the Thor, they fly over it, and you tell them to stop as they're on top of it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and then that's a great way to like not really take many losses versus low Thor count. And then once the Thors are dead, your mutas can just A move all the tanks and Hellions and shit down. But talking about what you're doing, okay, your style, this is hard for you because
Yeah.
the main reason why is because Ling main is very inefficient at trading versus mech in general.
Especially a blue flame.
Yeah, yeah, and the only way you're gonna take good trades, or the only way you're gonna take effective trades, is if you have a high economy, and you don't really have a high economy right now compared to the Terran. Like we're talking right now at this point in this game, you would need like probably 60 drones to be able to take
Okay.
decent trades, and at like 7 minutes you need to have like 85 or something
Okay.
like that. Or yeah, like 6 minute, like 60, 7 minute 85 ish if you're gonna go Link style, and it's hard to do this because you have to be very precise about, do I need Links now because he's gonna be aggressive, or can I squeeze drones out? And you also need I would say a good thing to do here too would be like a macro hatch, because it's so like maybe delay some of your gas, because you have this also wouldn't really work with 6 gases this fast. You'd have to
Right.
delay some of your gas a little bit because it's such
Yeah,
a
I do
mineral
have a
dense
lot of
build.
gases.
Yeah,
That's true.
like this if you do link made responses to mech, you have to have a very high mineral priority, and then some gas to make some maids.
Okay.
It's just kind of how it goes. So basically, you just don't really have enough economy to deal with this, because what's going to happen now is, best case scenario, you actually kill his entire army, but in the process, you're going to lose almost all of yours at the same time. And you're going to have to rebuild, which is going to mean you can't build drones again.
Right.
Worst case scenario is you take kind of a poor fight, and then he just kills your whole army, and you now find yourself in a position where you have to rebuild units, and you're not only
And
having
I'm
to rebuild.
defending at the same time.
Exactly. You have to rebuild units to still kill his first push, which is going to be that you're going to be in a deeper and deeper hole in your economy for longer, because you have to keep making lings instead of drones.
Okay.
Yeah. So now you're that right there. You're in a deep fucking hole now. That's
Yeah.
rough.
I was about to say you're about to see some fucking execution style shit right now.
uh,
But I don't even think I canceled this. I don't think I canceled it either.
yeah. It's looking pretty rough. And imagine right now too, if you did make a spire and you were like, you know what, I'm gonna make mutas earlier than later because this push is defenseless versus air other than one cyclone. Like 10 mutas could come
True.
out and wipe out this entire army.
Yeah.
And now,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
so like, if I see mech, okay, and I have that layer, I should just drop a spire down as well as soon as I can.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It's good versus every kind of mech.
Okay.
Because you don't have to make the mutas if it doesn't seem like the right time to make mutas. Because
AKA fucking a shitload of Thors.
yeah, if he opens Thors, you could just go Roach Ravager.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, cool. He's going to go Hellion Thor, and he's not even making tanks at all because he sees my Spire. And I just go for max Roaches with like 8 Ravagers or 10 Ravagers. And I start just dumping fucking Corrosive Vials on the center of his Thors every time we fight. And then your Roach Ravager will take great trades there.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and then let's just say you guys wipe each other's armies off the map, and now you kind of reset, and you have an Overlord in his base, and you're like, oh look, he just made like 6 tanks and Hellions. I'll just make mutas now. Like it gives you options where you could totally tech swap fuck the Terran over and over and over.
Okay, that makes sense.
But big thing against mech though, for real, I've kind of hinted on it a bit already, but it's very 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 important. It's more important than like what units you're making. It's your economy. You need to, as soon as you realize it's mech, you need to expand a bit faster than normal. If you're not gonna go for an all-in, where you're not gonna just try and bust him right away, you need to expand at a faster pace than what you normally do. So, like I would say, 7-minute 4th base is fine in a normal game. But I would say you'd maybe want to have a 7-minute 5th base. Like, I know it died, and I like that you tried to expand, but, like, make sure you're always trying to stay, like, a healthy pulp economy, like, really fast. Because if you can get to, like, 80... If you could get to, like, 80 to 90 drones, somewhere in that range, 85, 88, 84, anything in that range, you're going to have a fucking solid macro game going up against mech, because... I would say there is nothing in StarCraft 2 that is as impactful as it is for Zerg when you go up against mech as, like, you know, tech swapping. It's the most important against mech out of everything in this game. And the only way you can really do effective tech swaps is if you have a really good economy. You need a fucking solid economy. Otherwise, you're going to be like, I'm going to tech swap to Roaches. And you like, instead of making 42 Roaches at once, you're making like 14. And you're like, well... That's not really that effective because I just don't have any money for this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because mech is one of those armies where I feel like a good way to explain mech is it takes a very long time for mech to become overall versatile against everything. Where it's like a hybrid tank, Thor, Hellbat, BC, whatever. Like it's a hybrid of a lot of things, and it's like, okay, this is a very awkward army to beat. But most of the time, mech develops as one thing or the other. It's very committed to something. Like, it's very committed to tanks, or it's very committed to Thors. It's very committed to Cyclones. It's always committed to something hardcore right off the bat. So you can abuse that shit really hard if you make a counter to it. Like, for instance, Roach Infester, great counter to Hellion Cyclone. Muta, great counter to tank. Roach Ravager, great counter to Thor.
I just never even thought of making mutas against mech.
Yeah, it's solid. It's very good. Because think about this too, okay? Imagine this. Imagine if like you had no Ravagers right now, because Ravagers are kind of shit against tanks unless you have like again unless you're going crazy on Roach Ravager, you're going for like kind of like a really hyper aggressive attack style. Ravagers against tanks aren't the greatest. But I know you made them because you have no other choice right now, so that's fine. But imagine if you only had Roaches, and then let's say you have like 20 Roaches, okay? And then you make you had a good economy as well, so you could also afford to make mutas here. And let's say you made like 10 mutas, and your Roaches literally just go like this. They just literally bypass his army by going like this, and they go to his natural. And you go, fuck it, I don't care. I don't want to attack. I don't want to fight into that. I don't need to. I'll just have my mutas kill the Hellions first, so my drones don't die. And then he'll have to unsiege his tanks to either run away or to resiege on my base. And by the time all the Hellions are dead, I can just jump on the tanks before they kill my hatchery. Or I can chase them down the map as they try to go back and defend his base. And then meanwhile, you just break his depots down and kill all of his SCVs with Roaches.
That would be a big ass turnaround too.
Yeah, you would 100% win the game right now if you had the option to do that.
Okay, yeah. Dang, man, that's kind of frustrating. I never thought of that.
No, it's all good. Like it's good. You're. I mean, from now on, you'll start thinking about it more often, like more possibilities of what you can do. So it's all good, man.
Yeah, he dives these fucking.
That was. I love when turrets do that. Shit. He could have killed so many drones, but he's like fucking hell bad. So he kills.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Yeah, he kills.
I was thinking that too. I was like, why the fuck do you make hell bad?
Turrets do that a lot, and it's because they're like they're obviously not looking at it, and he's just hoping that like it'll kill more because they'll kill the queen that way. But if you respond to it like you did, it just kills nothing really. And yeah, this is one of those things where you're gonna win this fight, but it's a you're fighting into a counter army to you, so you're losing a. Like I mean, killing it's still nice. I would say since you don't have a Spire, that's definitely not a bad call what you just made there.
I didn't want him sieged up outside my third base.
Yeah.
I killed all those Hellions, and I was like, eh.
It was definitely the right time to go. It was. And I think the fact that you made lings here, with the way that went, that was also fine. It's one of those things where it was. I would say, imagine once again though, if you waited for the lings to engage there. And like, let's say you had your Roaches maybe like run north of where his tanks were, and your lings came from the south because they're coming out of hatcheries. So your Roaches just kind of like get positioning while they're waiting for the lings to spawn, and then you engage where your lings engage first, just slightly before the Roaches, so that his tanks are shooting themselves because they're shooting the lings instead of shooting the Roaches. And then you have more Roaches here with this attack when you actually initiate on his third base.
You're talking about when they're sieged up?
Yeah, like when you broke him right in front of your third base. If your lings engaged first, you would actually kill the tanks faster that way because you would keep more Roaches alive, and you would also make tanks splash themselves.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Like if you're gonna make lings, that's why that would make sense to fight like that.
Okay.
And it made sense to make lings only because you just killed the Hellions.
Yeah, you're about to watch them all disappear.
Yeah, it's okay. And like right now, I would say killing those tanks definitely is priority here. You do. And now, okay, right now, you have... So all things considered, you put the game into a good spot for yourself.
Right.
I would say the perfect way to respond to this would be do not break his natural. If you want to all in, you can make Roaches to try to break his natural, but that's not a guaranteed way to win. If you want a guaranteed way to win the game from here right now, where it's like in 2 minutes you're going to easily win the game, do not commit to his natural. You can Corrosive Violet and kill his depots like at max range, and if he doesn't keep punishing you with tanks when you do that, you can keep killing depots with Corrosive Vile, and that's great. But you're not going to commit with Roaches and Ravagers and Lings like auto attacking because you don't want to lose them. So basically all I'm saying is you can punish him until he responds with the defense, and then you're like, okay, I'll respect that, I'll leave. But just don't let him have a third base. Because if you just make drones right now, you're not at a good drone count. Like it's not bad, but it's not great. It would be great if it was like an 80 plus range like we were talking about earlier. So if right now if you just made like another base and maybe like a 6th base as well, and you just make like a round of like 20 drones, you would be able to have so much more control of this game.
I'd have more than enough time.
You totally would,
Okay.
because you just killed his army as he ran back across the map, and you also just killed what was trying to defend the third base. So you know there could be something to defend his base, because like he has production here. New tanks can spawn. You're going to be fighting at a very cost inefficient way because you have to break through a wall if you're going to try and just ram into it. But
Yeah.
you should not feel. Or what are you going to say?
I was gonna say I don't have like the best roach count either.
Yeah, I don't think you do either. A lot of it's about to die as well. So like, if you think about it though, like he probably doesn't feel confident to push across the map though, because you just wiped out a lot of his army. So he'll probably sit here for a while rebuilding.
See, I think I have a problem of like I smell blood, and I'm like, you know,
Fucking go! Yeah, you're like, attack, kill him now. Because yeah, like if you lose this army right now, you give him the ability to retake a third base as well. That's another big one. So if you just leave the army nearby, he has to play so much slower about taking his third, and he really needs it too, because look at his main base. It's starting to mine out, and another patch is like 2 more patches are about to mine out as well. One of them only has 15 resources. One of them has 25. So
I could just compare that off of mine too.
yeah, exactly. So like right now, if you just contain him rather than kill him, you would have more control of the game. So I like that you backed up for now, but if you back up like all the way to your base, that might not be the best idea. Or it's not. I think backing up to your base is still better though than throwing your army away. I like that you're not throwing it away yet. I hope you don't do it.
I've gotten a lot better. I'm still bad about it, but I've gotten a lot better about not throwing my army away.
Yeah.
Because I'll throw entire games like in a matter of seconds.
Yeah. All right. So
And
you. All right, go ahead.
you'll see that.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll
Sounds
see
good.
that in this game.
Yeah, because you when you backed up there, you made about like 5 drones or so. You made a couple of them into some buildings, but you only made a couple of drones, and then so you were a second ago you were sitting at 68 drones. Now you're sitting at 72 with a couple of buildings in production. Again, if this was like 88 or something, so much more control, because your economy right now could be like 3,400 minerals per minute and like 1,400 gas per minute, as opposed to what it is, which is 28,900.
Right.
So, and then, you know, that would be nice. And then, if your Roaches and Ravagers were sitting kind of like near his third base because you knew you just denied it and he had to retake it, you maybe could have made it take longer for him to resiege these tanks properly. But even if even if you don't have it there, if you just backed up now and you made drones behind this and you had 88 drones, knowing that he has 3 base and you have like 4 to almost 5 base economy actively running the whole time, because you're like 88 drones is legit a full 4 base economy. It's like that's fully saturated on 4 bases, but you're most likely going to have a little bit less minerals than 4 bases and a little bit more gas than 4 bases. Like we're talking, you might have like 6 base gas and like 3.5 base mineral line, or almost 3 base mineral line.
Okay.
Which would be great, because that would be so much power for you to have like Broodlord transitions, fucking anything you want in Hive Tech, like Vipers or whatever units you want to use.
You're gonna see both of those in this game.
Sure. Yeah, that was brutal. Everything.
Yeah, that was a bad. Yeah. That was
Yeah, no, it down like making maids and shit. Like it's overly aggressive, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, just allowing your opponent to be like, all right, I'm not gonna kill you right. Like you can like, it's like breaking their legs and just like letting them crawl around for a while while you just like marathon in front of them, and you're like, well, I'm getting way ahead, while you're just like struggling to recuperate over here.
Okay.
That's a great way to establish leads as Zerg, because that is one power of Zerg where you can just like slam on units and then suddenly you get what you want out of them. Like you fucked his third up, that's great, and then you slam on drones. Like you have the ability to do that. No other race can do that.
Okay.
And then if you abuse that, where you're like, I have control, I will abuse control by keeping him defensive while I go greedy. And then like if you do that correctly, control never ends for you, because all you have to do is be greedy enough to get to that saturation of the optimal saturation one time, and once you're there, you have control forever because you could. Then it's I can attack.
Constantly make
Yep,
units.
yep.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to
Okay.
be like, fuck, I'm doing this inefficiently because I don't have enough drones yet. You just, once you have enough, and then you can just slam aggression on all game. The only thing you got to do then to make sure you maintain is you got to expand enough to keep maximizing your mining, so you're not like wasting drones like 16 on 2 patches or something.
Right. Okay. My slow bailings.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even expect to make them. I don't know why I made them.
They all kind of like go by a winter
Threw 'em
mine.
away.
Yeah. And again, like, think about this too. Imagine, once again, if you made mutas. Look at his base. No turrets.
God, dude.
No Thors.
Yeah, you're right. It's so sad to see it.
But it's just something to keep in mind, though. If you see somebody is
Yeah.
oh, wow, he's a tank-heavy Terran. How about I just throw like 20 mutas at him and see what that does? Best case scenario, you just win the game. Worst case scenario, let's say he has like 1 Thor. Imagine if you just flew, like, let's say he has 1 Thor at his like 3rd base, okay? And you have 20 mutas show up and you fly at the 3rd and you're like, oh fuck, a Thor is there. And let's say you fly over, you could just kill his economy. You could just fly over his.
Yeah, I could just fly around. He's not gonna be able to chase me with
Yeah,
it.
like you fly over his 3rd, you hit hold position, and then you kill like maybe like 8 SCVs, fly to his main base, go into the main, kill like fucking all of his SCVs there, fly to his natural, kill all the SCVs there, and now you have a Terran who's like on 22 SCVs versus a Zerg who's on like 90 drones, and you're just like, well, he's never gonna be able to leave his base now.
Definitely gonna keep mutas in the back pocket now.
Yeah, and a great way to make them really effective, like I said before, if it's a battlecruiser opener Terran, you could upgrade Carapace for your Spire because you could make Corruptor Carapace against BC and it's really really good. If it's not a battlecruiser Terran but it's still mech, if it's like this, you can just get weapon upgrades, and even if you don't use your mutas until you have like level 2 or possibly even level 3 weapons, you should still always upgrade the weapons in the meantime. Because being able to be like, oh shit, it's a good time to go mutas, and I'm gonna make 20 of them with +2 weapons.
Yeah, transition real quick. Yeah, 2-2.
The ability of how much the damage you can fucking deal when you do that is insane compared to 0-0 mutas. It's actually crazy.
That makes sense. Huh.
So now you have a good drone count. I would say it's not bad. It's definitely in that range where it's very healthy. The only thing I would like you to do now is you still expand faster than you are to take gas faster. Because at this stage of the game, gas is definitely something that's going to hold you back. So if you can have like 5 base, possibly 6 base gas running the whole time, you're great. And right now you do have 5 base gas running, but you're going to start mining out of your gas, and like in your main base here pretty soon. Your natural is going to start mining out of your gas in the next few minutes as well. You just want to make sure you're always maintaining a good gas count. So 5 base is acceptable, but you just want to maintain that. Okay. So I would say right now, definitely at this stage, you would want to definitely have both bottom right bases taken as well. You don't have to necessarily be mining from them yet, but just have them so you can get ready to mine from them because it's going to be soon.
Okay.
And then your creep spread's not bad considering what's happened so far. Definitely always keep working on it. Keep that shit going because creep against mech, I would say creep isn't as much about mobility, where it's like I need to take a good engage here. If you once you get to the stage you're at now too, where you start using like air units and shit, like it's never bad for the mobility. It's not a bad thing about it. It's still always going to be good, but the more important part about it is definitely the vision of where he is, because one of the best ways you can abuse mech is go around it and fuck his base up over and over and over and over. Okay. Like forcing mech into low eco styles where it becomes kind of an all-in style is always a great way to deal with mech.
Okay.
And then yeah, like getting off of the kind of army you're on right now, where I would say, yeah, Broodlords. Broodlords are not bad until they get a lot of Thor. Then Broodlords suck really bad at that point.
Yeah, my Thor just get totally, or my Broodlords get totally melted.
Yeah. But if you engage right now, if this is going to be your army that engages and you're going to just full on commit to it, I would say it's wrong. And the reason why is because Roach, Ling, Baneling, and Hydra here is like Hydra is the it's not as bad, but Roach, Ling, Bane, Ravager is kind of shit supply at this point. You don't want it in your army. So I would say
Okay.
the best way, if you wanted to take this fight as good as you could, like the best thing you could possibly do to throw away your Ling, Bane, Roach, all that ground army, but do it in a cost efficient way, would be maybe like poke his base with broodlords, maybe scout with like a zergling or a changeling or something. Poke like a planetary out here in the middle of the map, like his 5th base. You can poke that with broods, get his attention, get him to, like you don't have to wait till he comes over. You could have like changelings scouting where he goes, but just like poke it, just get his attention to be like, oh shit, Zerg's over here, let's go defend that, and then you can run Zergling your ground army up the right side, bust his depots and his natural, and just kill literally and bust the depots again like near the factories, and you can just kill all the SCVs at his natural, all the SCVs in the main, kill his armories at the natural, fuck his upgrades up, kill like just get on his production, and if you do that when his army's out of position, everything that he has, tanks, Thors, it's all super slow, so it's gonna take a while to get back there.
And he has to move that out of position basically again.
Yep, and if he does, if you see like all of his army come back to defend his main, you could once again re-engage with the broodlords and kill the planetary.
Okay.
And then, ideally, what you want to do is if you actually are going to go into broodlords, you need to have an army that supports broodlords really well. So broodlord corruptor is kind of essential, but then supporting that with just a lot of broodlord corruptor or broodlord corruptor infestor, broodlord corruptor viper. So like something needs to support it, other than having a small amount of broods and a small amount of corruptor, because 5 corruptor and 8 brood is very tiny.
So if I have broods and he has a lot of Thors, a good backup would be infestors.
I would say if he has just a lot of Thors, infestors are better, because you can just neural parasite them and you're good to go. If he has a lot of tanks and some Thors, I would say vipers are better, because you could just blinding cloud.
See, I've been like, trying to use vipers a lot lately to get used to it.
Yeah.
And I always abduct shit.
You could even abduct there too. If it's like 5 Thors and that's it, you could even abduct that. That'd also work.
So when you use blinding cloud, does it stay in that one spot?
It does, yeah.
So how effective is blinding cloud
against Thors? It would be really good if it was Thor tank, because if your broodlords are engaging Thors at the same time the Thors are engaging your broodlords, and you blinding cloud them, the Thors always what the AI would do is it would try to walk forward to walk out of the blinding cloud. But if your broodlords are shooting the Thor, they're gonna block them from walking forward with broodlings, and then the tanks are gonna shoot the broodlings and kill the Thors really fast as well.
Damn, man. Okay, that makes sense.
So either way would be good though. You could even abduct the Thor and just like get rid of them quickly. But I would say blinding cloud would be more effective in that situation. Infestors wouldn't be as good, because if you have to like go into tank range to neural parasite and he just scans it, all your infestors just die. But even though, here's the thing too, you don't even need 100% to go for a spellcaster at this stage. When I say this stage, I'm talking about more like Diamond League. You could just go.
Yes, please.
You could just be like, wow, he's got a lot of tanks. Like if you if you were scouting him with like a few changelings or some shit like that, you just go, oh fuck, he's got like, who knows, like 10 tanks. He's got a lot of tanks. And yes, he has Thors too, but he's got a lot. Like, he just walk around his 3rd base. That's a lot of fucking tanks. You walk around his 4th base. That's a lot of fucking tanks. Like, he's got a lot of and a lot of Hellions. You would know that there's a very limited amount of Thors he could have, because this is so much fucking anti-ground. You could just go for like 16 broodlords, and then you could make like 16 corruptor, 16 broodlord, and just A-move it. And if he only has like 5 Thor versus 16 broodlord, you will crush that. And that's what you could have if you don't have all this supply tied up in Ling, Roach, Ravager, Baneling.
Yeah, definitely.
And then this is also why I say gas is so important too, because going for like 16 broods and like 16 corruptor is very gas expensive. So when you know you're up against mech is slow, you could definitely abuse it by expanding faster. And then if you're tech swapping a lot, like you're going Roach, like the things I talked about early game to set that up.
Right.
Cyclone Hellion gets fucked by Roach Infestor. Tank Hellion gets fucked by Mutas. Thor Hellion gets fucked by Roach Ravager. You could just set up a good control situation for yourself early game that allows you to expand a lot, so that you can have enough gas to do things like this, to be like, I'm gonna go crazy in Broodlords now, if you want to.
Right. Okay. Huh.
Because
Yeah.
what I see happening
It'd
in
probably
this.
be better
Go ahead.
if my units were more cost efficient, so I wouldn't have to keep spending gas to make more non-cost efficient units.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
that's definitely a
another thing too
problem.
is if Thors are like a one, almost like a 1-to-1 ratio with Broodlords, you're gonna lose your Broodlords every time.
Right.
Like you definitely, if you like, Broodlords are just worse versus Thors than they were before. Like this patch buffed the
Oh
fuck out of
hell
Thor.
yeah.
So
Oh hell yeah.
I would say ideally, if you're just gonna go pure Broodlord, you would want to have a situation where it's like 3 Broodlords to 1 Thor. Like that's the ratio you'd want to kind of go for, which is like what I was saying. If you scouted, wow, that's a lot of tanks and Hellions, and he is also going Thor, but there can't be a lot of them. If you have like 16
Right.
Broods versus like 5 or 6 Thor, that's almost a 3-to-1 ratio right there. If it's 6, it is more than a 3-to-1 if it's 5, and he does have 6, so that would you would
Should
crush.
I try kiting with the broods? Like,
No, definitely not. If it's Thor, kiting is gonna get you killed because Thor's outrange, and Thors shoot faster, so he's gonna beat your ass if you're wasting attacks.
Okay.
Like time, because you're never gonna kite him. Especially if he has Hellbats there too, he's gonna wipe your Broodlords or your Broodlings out so fast. If you had like 60 Broodlords though right now, you would lose probably like 5 of them pretty fast because Thors kill Broodlords pretty fast too. But you would cripple
Right.
his Thors so quickly as well if you had that many. So you might lose 5 right away, and then it's like 1 Thor's left. And then it's like, well, and now the last Thor dies. And now I still have like 10 of my 16 left. And now his base is just getting crushed. Because now all he
Okay.
has to defend is like tanks and shit. And then a great response to that would be, if you think about like one step further, if that kind of a situation did happen and the Terran then just sits there and lets himself die, well, that's cool. Then you win the game. If he doesn't know what to do from there, but if he like unsieges all of his tanks, Hellion modes all of his Hellions, and he just like goes across the map, a great way to abuse that would be like just keep killing his expansions with your Broodlord. Do not chase that shit, and that's when you can do something like just make mutas, and your mutas can now catch and control everything that goes to attack your base. All the tank and Hellion could just die to muta.
Yeah, I feel like every time they do a base trade, they have like fucking Hellions marching across the map, and I'm just like, well, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
You know.
I do like though eventually how you're static dating your bases out. I do like that a lot. Like once you hit that ideal saturation, putting a couple spines in your middle lines is great. That is very good. The only base I don't like is your middle base, the 5th base, because your spines are so far away from the middle line. If you went in there, you could actually have Hellions out of range of spines, killing drones.
Okay.
So always, like every other base is good though. Every other base has a middle line that's protected by his spines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, check this out. Look at the supply right before your Gun Army engages. Watch this shit. Watch how ineffective it is. So as you're engaging, you've already lost 17 supply just to Widow Mites, and like Ling is just getting blood pooled to AoE'd. But watch the supply right now when you engage right here. So you're at 175, he's at 183. And now look at how much of your shit just dies as you engage here. And also, really quick, hit L, just open up resources lost. And I'm going to write it down. Right now it's 13k for you versus 7.5 for the Terran.
Okay.
This is this army for you it's very weak. It's like, to give you an equivalent that I feel like Zerg players would all understand. Imagine if a Terran player like never got off of Marines, okay? He never got off Marines, and now suddenly he's got like 100 Marines and like 10 medevacs, and you just made like 12 Ultralisk. And your Ultras just like run over there, and not even one Ultra dies, and you just cleave every fucking Marine out, and you kill them all. That's kind of like what's happening to you here, because your army is kind of expired at this stage of the game. It just isn't going to do very much, because you're running into tanks, like mass tanks, with a bunch of Thors, with Roach, Baneling, and mostly Roach, Baneling, and a couple of Ravagers. Which is, it's just going to feel painful.
Yeah. And you see, like, the thing is, too, is when I'm taking these engagements, like this one in particular, I know that this is going to be very non-cost efficient for me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I feel like I have all this supply and shitty army.
That's
know.
fine, but look at the production though. I like that you're going into Broodlords. I like that you're going into Viper, but I don't like that you're going into Hydra.
Okay.
So like you could like remember what I was saying earlier, how you could like get his attention and like maybe go for the natural. Just go like if you know your army's gonna get fucking destroyed, maybe instead try to do something in a way where you can misdirect
It's a little bit better than taking his army on.
Yeah, you could instead of trying to just fight the army, you could try to fight his economy, and you could get him out of position to do that. That way, his army has to come defend, and while he's coming to defend, you're killing things like that can't defend themselves, like armories, like turrets, like maybe a command center, a bunch of SCVs, supply depots, and you just make add-ons to buildings, and you just make this big fat fucking problem for him that he has to fix, and while he's fixing it after it's cleaned up is when you're rotating to a better army.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the thing is I honestly I would have also there's three ways I feel like that could have gone, and I feel like you picked the worst way to do it, and this is why. You could have done it the way I recommended, and I think that would have been the best. You could do damage to his economy, force him to defend, and you rotate, and it's a lot of damage you do there. You could just send everything but the Broodlords in, and lose it all really badly, and that's still better than what you did. But you lost the Broodlords too, so you threw away your shit army, and you also threw away a chunk of your good army, which is very expensive.
That makes a lot of sense. So save the Broodlords.
Yeah.
For better time.
Exactly.
Damn. Okay.
Because yeah, the ground army you have, it's not even like it's gonna be shit all game now. It's just at this stage, it's kind of expired, and the expiration date of a ground army for Zerg is kind of when the Terran is at like max supply, or like 180, 170. Like they're gonna have a lot of shit that's just gonna be like, oh, roaches still, and roaches just walk in and just get evaporated. They just disappear.
Okay.
But if you were to, let's just say hypothetically, you lost your Broodlord Corruptor, but you killed a shitload of Terran supply as well, and the game reset to where you have like 90 supply with a good economy, and the Terran has like 108 supply with a decent economy or whatever. You could then, while he's low supply, remax really fast, because it has a lot of remax potential, into a bunch of roaches or something, and be like, okay, let's just commit deep to this like attack if I want to. They could be good again then for that moment, but that is if you don't kill him there and you wait on it and you allow his supply to grow, roaches, every supply that Terran gets, roaches get worse and worse and worse and worse. But there is potential for units like that early game, or like a low supply game styles. They definitely excel more than.
I have that problem transitioning out of roaches too.
Yeah. Well, you've given yourself the tools to do it, and you are using it. It's just that you're keeping your army mixed with like half power, half mobility, when it should be full power or full mobility to beat mech.
Okay.
I would say this: the only way, only using like we're talking like 6 Broodlords would work, is if he was using pure anti-ground, like he had maybe like Widow Mines. He had just a bunch of Widow Mines, tanks, and Hellions, and that was it. But if he has any type of like counter power, like Thor, if you don't have overcommitment to power as well yourself, what just happened to you earlier is going to happen every time.
Right. Okay. So either have a shitload of Broodlords against Thors, or don't have Broodlords.
Yeah, pretty much, honestly. If you're going to go the Broodlord route, that's kind of how it goes.
Okay.
And I would say it's not ideal to go Broodlords against mass Thors either, unless you have, like, if we're talking about mass Broodlords, you have to have something to support them, like a spellcaster, like Viper or something.
Like Vipers.
Yeah. Because Thors will just annihilate, like, again, if it's not like a 3-to-1 ratio, Thors will annihilate Broodlords. Even if it's like 8 Thor versus 16 Broodlord, you're probably going to lose your Broodlord, because if it's like 2-to-1, like Thors just do ridiculous damage.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So I try making lurkers.
Lurkers right now, I would say, are scary, because if you look at unit stab, he still has 12 tanks. And lurkers are horrible against tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Like, the only way lurker's going to work here is if you had either been doing one of two things. Number one is you had been working on killing the tank count for a while now, and you keep, you know, reducing it by like maybe abducting it or some shit. Like don't go lurker yet. You just keep killing tanks, killing tanks, killing tanks, killing tanks. Or if you what's it called? You just like know for a fact that he just doesn't have any tanks because let's say you're scouting him and you know there aren't any tanks. Like one of those two things has to happen. But if he has tanks, and you go lurker, you're kind of countering yourself again because it's kind of like, you know, like tanks are going to just scan and just wipe out the lurkers like crazy.
Which is usually the case.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen if you don't respect the tank count. See, like right there, what you just did. Like that's nice that you killed 2 Thors, and I know that the Thors are annoying and they were in the front and they were in the way, but like it would be even better the way you're engaging with your army if that was 2 tanks instead of 2 Thors. Just getting anything you can do to reduce the tank count.
I wasted those abducts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Thor can't really do much anyways if they're getting sieged like crazy by upgraded lurkers. Which they actually aren't even upgraded, which is even scarier for you. Like, the lurkers are so shit if you don't have high-tech upgrades on them. They're so much better with it.
So let me give a situation, basically, right? So let's say I have lurkers, you know, the same composition, basically. And he has the same composition, and we're not fighting at his fucking 4th base, and we're in the middle of the map. Would it be better to kind of me siege up, or no, not siege up, but charge his army with blinding clouds?
You could do that, but it's
burrow?
scary. It's scary. Like that's hard as fuck to do, and it's
honestly, I don't even like using Ravengers against mech, like this style of mech, because I always feel like I fuck it away.
Yeah, like if I told you yes, you should do that, it would be kind of, I feel like, bad advice because I feel like putting yourself in the situation you're in right now is really hard. Like you would need to be very, very, very meticulous with your micro to make this work. I feel like the bigger picture here for you that you should go for is you should always try to, as soon as you know it's mech and you know that there's possibilities that mech can rotate, because mech is one of the few compositions in StarCraft 2 that could be the same thing, but it could be so much different at the same time. Like it's still mech, but it could be very Thor-based mech, or it could be very tank-based mech. You should always try to have changelings in his base and just try to get reads on it to be like, okay, what is he making? And just know as well, you should always expect he's going to make a counter to what you're making too. So if you're like, I'm going to go Broodlords, what do you think he's going to counter that with?
Right.
Probably going to be Thors. Yeah, exactly. If you're going to go Master Roaches, what is he going to counter that with? Probably tanks. Like you should always expect some type of a counter to what you're making too. So it reconfirms what you think is going to happen when you scout him. But sometimes Terrans play their own particular way and they just do whatever they want to do. So knowing what he has is always a great thing for you before you fucking, like, you know, before you make a full commitment to now Roach Hydra Lurker. Because if he was going full Thor and full Hellbat, this would be so easy for you. But if he has a ton of tanks, it's going to be so hard for you.
Right.
So just picking the right composition for you, well, it's like that's your key to victory for the most part. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going to try more of the, like, well, he's got a lot of Vikings out right now.
You could go Corruptor with that. Like if you're talking about the Broodlord Corruptor thing, you could totally do that.
With the blinding cloud.
Yeah.
And like try just using blinding cloud on the Thors to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah, you could like one parasitic bomb in the Viking cloud, and then blinding clouds on the Thors. You could totally do that.
Okay, that wouldn't be that hard to micro either.
That would not be that hard to micro. Exactly. Lurker Viper is one of the harder compositions for Zerg to control. It's just awkward.
It is so hard. It is very awkward because I don't know. There's hold position involved in shit, and I can't micro that well enough.
Well, like Lurker Viper is the thing about it that's hard is whenever you go Lurker Viper, especially against what you're fighting against right now, you're the one with inferior range in every way. Thors outrange everything in the air for you. So like they even outrange your Viper. They outrange your well, really, if you're going to Lurker Hydra Viper, it's just a Viper. Thors can punish your Viper if you're kind of just fucking around and you're not being very assertive with your unit. If you're just kind of like floating around and shit. A tank outranges a Hydra and a Lurker, even when the Lurker's upgraded. So, and also he can repeatedly scan to maximize that
Right.
range. So if you're not being very, very effective every time you go in range of him, you're going to eventually bleed out and lose way too many units to make it effective. So every single time you get within his range, you will always get hit before you hit back, and you need to make sure every one of those count. And it's hard to do that because you can't always be perfect to be like, I know exactly how I'm going to deal with this one, and I know exactly how I'm going to deal with the next one. It's easier to be the guy
Right.
with more range that where if your opponent kind of bubbles around and shit, it makes a few mistakes here and there. You're punishing him over and over for that, which is what
Yeah, I think
Terran
I'm
will do.
just gonna I'm just gonna drop the lurker thing like completely.
I think for now it's fine. I don't think you need to go lurker, especially in Diamond League. I think you can literally get away with going for the variations of Roach, Roach Infester, Roach Ravager, and Muta, and then going into just Corrupted Relord. I think you could do that every game, and you could make it work.
Okay.
And the Infester, the only reason why I'm telling you to do that is because if he has Mass Hellion Cyclone, if you get like a juicy fungal on the center of that, it's so easy to punish it.
Okay.
He literally can't leave if you do that, and then you just kill all of his cyclones.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some practice with those infestors.
And
Is it always smart to get a burrow?
it's nice, yeah.
Like
It's not required with that though because you can't cast burrow while fungled.
Yeah,
Sorry, you
true.
can't cast fungal while burrowed. Um,
There's
but
neural parasite.
and you don't need to make mass either. We're talking like if you go roach infester, you only need to make like 5 infestors or like 4 infestors, and that's it, just for the
Okay.
fungal.
Okay.
And another tip too,
Yeah.
if you do the infestor thing, this is a big one. Don't try to get every single last unit. Don't try to be greedy about your fungal and be like, I need to get every single thing covered in fungal. Just try to
Okay.
get a juicy fucking fungal like in the center of it, and then chain it.
To where he won't. Yeah. Okay.
Because if you cripple it once, if he's got like 20 cyclones and you get like 12 of them or like 13 of them, and you just fungal it like 3 times, and it allows your roaches to have enough time to kill it. Meanwhile, the fungal is also doing a shitload of damage. Because a lot of people don't know this, but one fungal growth does 25% of a cyclone's hit points. So if you do like 3, the cyclone's almost dead at that point. Like 2 auto attacks from a roach and it's dead.
Can you stack fungals?
You
on
can't
that?
stack it, but if you chain it, it just refreshes
But
it.
yeah. Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you
It's not like he's gonna be running very far away after
yeah,
a fungal.
he's gonna be super slow if you fungal it. So
Okay.
basically, if you just get like a couple good fungals on like a good chunk of his cyclones, the rest of it's just not that intimidating. And then his army will also regroup once the part of it dies. It'll make a new smaller ball, and if you once again try to fungal that, it makes it easier than trying to be the guy who's like fungling 3 different packs at the same time.
Right.
Excuse me, stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, that got melted. I saved the lurkers though.
Yeah, right. Lurker.
Yeah. After this turns into a base trade, and he wins because he maintains all of his fucking tanks,
Yeah,
and
what
I still have lurkers.
the big problem I see for you right now that's developing is the top right. You have no bank, and he has a massive bank, so you've lost the ability to rotate your tech, and he can do whatever he wants. And this is the position
Yeah.
you don't want to be in versus mech. This is when you're fucked, because your
Yeah.
bases are mining out, and you don't have enough money to expand, let alone make a proper army to deal with what he has now.
Hmm.
And again, against this, when you fight hybrid like this, what you could just go for, what your goal could be here, it could literally be, I'm gonna make like 16 Broodlords, I'm gonna make like 12 to 16 Corruptors, I'll make like 4 Viper. You could go for that style, and then you could just blinding cloud the Thors.
Okay.
And then I'm not gonna say that that's gonna be what you're gonna do all the way to like GM, but for now, that would definitely be a great way to break it. This kind of a hybrid style. Ideally, I'm not gonna lie, the way mech kind of is right now in ZvT, it's ideal to not let them get to this hybrid style. It's kind of a pain in the ass once it's here. It's really fucking hard to deal with.
I know. I like listening to probably your videos or fucking Nero's videos or something.
Sure.
But they always say to try and like deny that third and that fourth, but I
It-
can't ever like get around to doing that.
This game you had it and they threw it away.
Yeah, I definitely had it this game.
Yeah. And then if that ever happens in the future, just don't feel like the thirst for blood to be like, I have to kill him. Be like, oh, I have it. He doesn't have a third base, and I have a fourth. How about I just maintain this for as many minutes as I can because I'll just get really far ahead.
And get that tech up.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's him being like, shit. Like, he doesn't know if you're all in or not. He does not know that. And if you throw your army away, he now knows he feels fine. He's like, I'm safe. I can take my third again. But if you don't throw it away, but you're always kind of around, he's like, well, shit. Okay, well, I got to play this really safely, really methodically. I can't just like Rambo my third. I got to like slow push it. So you could create a situation where it's like he takes his third 45 seconds later than he wanted to, again, to like retake it. And the only result of it is you got shot by like a siege tank maybe twice and you just ran away.
With the same army that I attacked with in the first place.
And yeah, exactly. And you're not sitting there flooding units, but he doesn't know that. Because he doesn't know, he has to prepare that as if you are. Because if he just kind of Rambos out there and you are doing that, he just dies.
Okay.
It's the same.
That mind game.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to respect certain aspects of StarCraft, because if you just because you want to macro out of it doesn't mean that he thinks you're going to, because there's probably plenty of games that he plays where Zerg's just fucking all in, and he's like, God damn, every single time I get attacked, I'm barely not dying, so I have to play this really fucking slow and like really patiently, where I'll let the Zerg kill themselves on me basically. But if you're like, well, I'm not really doing that, and right now all you're doing is sitting on like 40 SCVs when I have 85 drones or some shit, this feels great.
Right.
And then suddenly he scans and he's like, oh shit, okay, yeah, the Zerg is hive tech now and he's got a lot of stuff. I'm fucked.
Okay. Well, what's a good time to go hive?
Depends on the game, honestly, but I would say when you could afford it. As soon as you have the plans to use it and when you have a good economy to afford it, that's when it's time to go hive. And that depends on how aggressive the game has been up to that point. So it's really hard to give you an answer in terms of minutes. But if I did have to give you an answer in terms of minutes, I would say probably around 8 minutes is a good time to go hive, on average. That's including games that are really aggressive and games that are really passive.
Okay.
Like 8, maybe even like 8, 9 minutes, somewhere in there. And that's also assuming you're fighting mech. You're gonna definitely tech to hive pretty fast against mech, as opposed to all things. Like sometimes you might sit on like ling main Hydra longer against bio or some shit, or something. But yeah. Yeah, this game you're definitely dead.
Yeah, I know. I'm just milking it.
I like that you at least went for you gave yourself a chance though to win the game because you went for a base trade. If you would have straight up fought his army, you would have lost, and this wouldn't even be happening. So
yeah, then he just flies his shit away.
Yeah,
like a typical Terran, and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, right. Fucking Terran.
I have like 5 corruptors. I fucking hate Terran so much, man. I swear to God.
At least you gave yourself a chance, though.
Yeah. And he has that corner base too.
Yeah. He's got like liberators all over it. Yeah. But control of the early game to mid game is definitely how you beat mech, though, because mech is scarier, I would say, than Zerg. If mech gets everything that it wants, it can be scarier than Zerg. I will definitely say that. Like, if mech gets to the hybrid comp that's really strong, and then he also throws SCVs away and goes mass orbital commands, and has we're talking like 160 supply army, or like 170 supply army, that is a fucking scary thing to deal with if you let it get to that point. But Zerg, it's really hard for mech to get to that point if Zerg plays the game properly throughout the game. Like it's painful for mech to establish themselves at multiple times. Mech really only establishes itself like fast when Zerg makes mistakes, or when your opponent's just like way better than you, and then there's not much you can do about it because he's just like way faster. Like that also happens.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have any questions about the things we talked about so far?
No. I've just been asking them as we've been going.
Sure.
You've been answering them pretty good. So.
The
definitely.
one of the last things I can recommend to you then is your gas timings, because that was one thing that also I just saw definitely slowed you down early game. If you know you're up against mech, okay, what I think you should
Okay.
do is you should definitely you can go for your speed leg opener like you already have been. That's fine. Take your third base, but as soon as you realize it's mech, take your gas as soon as you like your one gas like resaturate it as soon as you know for 100% sure. Oh, it's mech. Okay, cool. And your scout
Okay.
typings we went over. Hopefully, we'll tell you that faster in the future. And then
Yeah.
do not take gases 2 and 3 until your third base has like half saturation. Okay. If
Okay.
the kind of mech he's going for is really, really, really aggressive, and you have to make a lot of roaches, do not take any more gas after 3 gas until you're able to go to drones again. But when you want and then if your opponent's like kind of a defensive mech style and you're able to drone harder and you can stop at like 8 roaches or some shit, and you can make full saturation of 3 bases, do not take gases 4, 5, and 6 until 3 mineral lines are fully saturated.
Okay.
So basically, don't even start gases 4, 5, and 6 until you're basically at like 60 drones.
Okay.
And then
That makes sense.
from there, when you take base number 4, base number 5, you can just do whatever the fuck you want there. Just slam out 20 drones at a time, and you're fine. Um,
Okay.
but like the developing gases, that'll help you so much at just having enough of what you need and be able to still expand fast against mech. Because those gas timings will allow you to do things like take a fourth, take a fifth, take a sixth super fast, because you're not going to have like 12 to 13 drones per mineral line and have 6 gases at the same time, because that definitely hinders you pretty hard.
Okay. Hmm.
And then don't be afraid to build that spire. Super good. Always build the spire every time. Always build it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then
Definitely keeping that shit in mind.
only build infestation pit if he's going for Hellion Cyclone. Otherwise, build it when you're ready to go hive, because you have to build it then.
Okay.
Hi,
That
man.
makes sense.
And then last thing I'll say, something we haven't talked about, but if you want to, if your opponent's going for like, if your opponent goes for really, really, really decisive, I'm gonna go with tanks. I'm gonna go Thors. I'm gonna go Hellion Cyclone. We already talked about how you can deal with that. With Roach Infestor, Roach Ravager, Muta. But if your opponent goes for a hybrid right away, where he's like, I'm making 2 tanks, now I'm going to make 2 Thors, now I'm going to make 1 tank, and now I'm going to make 1 Thor. If he's that kind of a guy, and you see that,
Yeah, sometimes that is the case.
if he does that, you want to know how you can fuck that over really hard? Make
How's
like
that?
20 Sword Post. That's another example when you would make an infestation pit really fast, and that is the one time when I would say go Sword Post early.
For like a very quick hybrid mech army.
Yeah. If he's going
But
like
a slow moving like tank.
yeah,
I mean,
if it's just legit like mixed units, like it's Thors and tanks, and if we're talking like it's like 2 of each, or like 3 of each, like really really early, just make an infestation pit and make like 20 Swordboast, because if you just keep throwing Swordboast at that point, and you can even make a Nidus with it too, and just give your Swordboast like mobility really fast, and you just like, I'm gonna hit the third, now I'm gonna hit the natural, now I'm gonna hit the third again, now I'm gonna hit the natural again. You do not have to make more than 20 Swordboast. But off of the back of Swordboast, you could then go into like Broodlord Corruptor and Viper, like the shit we talked about, for your in-game Deathball, for in-game Hybrid. And you'll slow him down so much to get there that once you're like at that point where you're like, okay, I have a lot of money and I don't have any open supply and I'm ready to make my Broodlords, you could just then be like, all right, how about I just like throw my Swordboast away now so I could rotate them into Broodlord Viper Corruptor and kill him, because I've done so much fucking damage here. Because if you maximize the cooldown of Swordboast, of Locust, you will definitely fuck a Terran up who goes for 2 tanks and 2 Thors. 1 tank, 2 Thors. 2 tanks, 1 Thor.
Right. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I never really... Honestly, I always forget that Swarm host even exists.
They're really bad against very specific Terrans. Like if he's pure Thor and pure Hellbat, Swordboast suck. Because all that's gonna happen is your Swordboast are gonna fly and they're gonna drop onto a Thor, and then the Hellbats are gonna cleave the shit out of them in Hellbat mode, and not even 1 Thor will die. It's really sad. And vice versa, if he's got mass tanks, and let's say he has 1 Hellion out in front, and all your Locusts land on like the Hellion, and you're not microing it, and then all of his tanks just like pound the Locust as soon as they hit the ground, all your locusts die, and they don't do anything besides maybe kill one Hellion. But if you do
Okay.
micro it, you could do things to counter micro that, like landing your locust early against Thor Hellbat is decent, and landing your locust directly on top of tanks when it's pure Hellion tank
How
is
do
pretty
you
good.
land them early?
You can there's an ability on the
I
locust
didn't
when
know
it's in the air. It's called swoop. It's the hotkey for it by default is Z. You can physically hit Z,
Okay.
click the ground, and they all swoop into the ground right there. Or you could just
Okay.
move command them over the top of tanks and then right click onto a tank and
Okay.
micro them that way. But I don't think you need to micro. You can try if you want to. If you feel like it, you can. But I think that's not what you should be worried about right now. That's kind of advanced. I think you should just make Swarmhost if you think it's hybrid right away, and just literally go Swarmhost, send a wave at the natural, and fucking call it a day, and just go back to macroing. Don't waste time trying to micro it. Just macro and make sure you're establishing yourself harder in the game while he has to deal with
Okay.
Locust. And then
Okay.
that would be a great way to deal with a hybrid early. And that's like every form of ground Terran mech. And if it's air mech, you could go Roach Corruptor. You could Carapace upgrades on the Corruptor and go into like Roach Ravager. And that's super fucking strong as well.
Okay. And that's like BC
Yep.
Thor.
Yep. That's like BC anything, really. Because he'll never have a ton of ground units if he's going BC. So you don't need to make like then it just comes to like balance. Like if he's got 3 battlecruisers and ground, you don't want to make like 30 Corruptors for that. Maybe make only like 14 Corruptors or like 12 Corruptors for 3 BCs, and then make a bunch of ground units to just collapse on him, because BCs are insanely expensive, and if you do it right and you're macroing well, it's really hard for the Terran to deal with
Have a
that.
ground army to back it up.
Yeah, it's just hard to deal with it.
Okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. That's for all forms of mech. I feel that's a good, well-rounded assessment for the most part.
Okay, yeah. That was definitely a very good way of breaking it down.
Yeah,
So I've just been at a loss, to be honest with you.
and if you forget anything too about what we just talked about, I'll post this video. I'll highlight this and I'll post it to YouTube. And I'll give you a link for it as well, so you can see it in the future.
Cool, hell yeah. I'm definitely gonna be rewatching this a lot.
All right, man. Well, thank you for doing a coaching lesson, dude.
Hell yeah. Definitely probably be some in the future too.
All right, sounds good, dude. I look
All
forward
right.
to seeing your future games and seeing the what we just talked about be implemented.
All right, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, man. Take it
Once
easy.
I come to another plateau. But all right, man.
All right, later,
Take it
dude.
easy too, man.
Yeah.
Peace out.
See you, dude. All right, guys. That has been a coaching lesson with Carol Baskins. Much loved, Carol. Yo. Thank you for doing a coaching lesson. If you guys liked it, that are all watching right now, I do a lot of these. I have a YouTube channel you can go check out. If you're watching on YouTube, then you obviously already know what it is. But check out more of it. I post a lot of stuff. I have a Bronze GM series. I also have a lot of coaching stuff, replay analysis, lots of things. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in another video here probably in the next couple of days. So until then, have a good one. Much love. I'll see you next time.